Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Who is Who on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. We are very blessed and fortunate to have with us in Alhikmat studio Dr. Azhar Dalal. Welcome to the show, Dr. Azhar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's really a
Assalamu
pleasure to
alaikum.
have you with us. And for the benefit of our viewers, Dr. Azhar is a medical doctor at Broward Health Medical Center here in Florida, USA. He's a very, very prominent community leader, someone very involved in Islamic activities and community services. And as we continue the conversation with him, you will hear more about his involvement in different Islamic centers and community services together with his medical profession. So once more, welcome back to the show, Dr. Azhar.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, we must say really, alhamdulillah, it's nice to have you. I know you're busy. You got to leave your profession and your work to come into the office.
No problem.
And I mean, to the studio here for us to have this conversation, and a special jazakallah. So, as we get on to the show, Dr. Azhar, tell us a little bit about your background, because, you know, these talk shows are all about motivating people, viewers worldwide, and people like yourself, young, dynamic, progressive, successful, alhamdulillah, you can be very, very inspirational for people throughout the world who view Alhikmat TV and our talk shows. So where you're from originally, or your origin here, you know, what probably motivated you to get into medicine? Tell us a little bit about that. And I will cut here and there for the benefit of our viewers so they can keep track in what's going on.
Sure. So just a little bit about myself, Sheikh, is that I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. My parents originally from Pakistan. My dad came here in 1970 and married my mom in 1976. Basically, I grew up in South Florida in Miami. I went to high school and college at University of Miami and medical school at Nova Southeastern University. So I've been in South Florida all my life, between Dade County and Broward County. I have two brothers and a sister. And essentially, that's a little bit about kind of my background as far as growing up in South Florida.
So you guys are
raised in South
true
Florida.
Miami products.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So, as far as what motivated me to go into medicine, I'd say from a young age, I was exposed to volunteering and helping others and serving others and as my interest peaked more in science and medicine and the human body, as I was growing up, getting into junior high and high school and volunteering at different hospitals and doctors' offices and getting to see a little bit about what being a physician entails. And naturally, that's just how it progressed as far as my interest and why I decided to pursue medicine, to help those in need and to help others get better.
So where did you do your medical studies?
So I did my medical school at Nova Southeastern University here in Davie, their medical school, NSU. So essentially I did my medical school there and I graduated from there with my medical degree, and then I went on to do my internship and medical residency in internal medicine at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. I completed my residency training and my medical residency training at Jackson Memorial Hospital.
And presently now you are at Broward Health Medical Center.
Yes.
Which is the most major hospital, trauma center, etc. here in Broward County?
Yes, that's correct. It's located in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It's the biggest, it's the main public county hospital of Broward County, similar to how Jackson Memorial is the main public county hospital of Miami or Dade County. So yes, it's a level 1 trauma center. It has, it's a huge hospital.
So it is the Jackson Memorial of Broward County.
Yes, essentially yes. So I've been there now for three years, practicing as a hospitalist, doing hospital medicine, and treating patients there of all different types and all different types of conditions. Prior to that, I was at Memorial Hospital and Aventura Hospital and Jackson North Hospital. So, but now I've been primarily at Broward Health Medical Center.
So you have moved around. You have moved around. So what exactly you do at Broward Medical Health Center here?
So like I said, I'm a hospitalist that treats patients with any type of different condition, whether they come in with a heart problem or a kidney problem or a lung problem or a neurological problem, or something wrong with the brain or something wrong musculoskeletal with the body. Basically, they get admitted to me. They're under my care and supervision throughout the time they're in the hospital, along with the different consultants or specialists that they may need. Sometimes they may need a consultant or specialist such as a cardiologist or a gastroenterologist, a specialist in the stomach and digestive system, or a nephrologist, a kidney specialist. So between the care that I provide and the specialists provide, we take care of them throughout the hospitalization, from the time they're admitted to the time they're discharged and they're released from the hospital, getting them better, improving them, and making sure they're treated for whatever condition they came in for, and getting them to be able to be discharged and released from the hospital when they're improved and better.
Interesting. And I suppose, of course, as a doctor, you're very busy. It's a busy profession. Everyone knows that. It can be very stressful sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it can be stressful. There's a lot of things going on sometimes, where you have to multitask and you have a lot of information to process quickly. You have to, you're treating a lot of patients with a variety of different conditions. You're coordinating with a lot of different subspecialists, case managers, the nurses, in order to treat these patients in the best possible way and with compassionate care. So, sometimes it can get stressful, but you try to balance it out and make it where, you still can have a balanced schedule and life, so is what I would say.
So as a doctor and as someone very much occupied out there in the medical profession, I see in your bio you are also very much involved in community services and Islamic activities, etc., specifically with Miami Gardens Islamic Center, plus with UHI. And UHI stands for what?
Universal Heritage Clinic, or Universal Medical Clinic is what it's now being renamed to.
Okay.
So
Okay.
UMC, Universal Medical Clinic. So it's a free clinic that is located in Miami Gardens that provides health care for anyone and everyone, regardless of their background, their race, their religion, their financial status, as far as obviously primarily for those who have no insurance or no funds to get medical care. And it's a vehicle to provide that medical care that the community, the Muslim community, provides for everyone and anyone, no matter who it is. And it's really a great clinic ran by some really excellent people out there in our South Florida community, as well as the volunteer physicians that all help out throughout.
So you're one of the board members of UHI?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
And
yes.
you guys, if someone wants to come by, what should they do? Just pitch up?
Yeah, no.
Call, make an appointment?
Yep. It's very simple. Yeah, it's very simple. There's a website. There's a phone number. They just call. They make an appointment. The website has all the information about the clinic. And they just make an appointment and come in. And usually the appointments are within a couple of days that you can get an appointment and be seen.
Right.
There's even a walk-in option. Sometimes the wait could be long, or sometimes there may not be an option to see a physician that same day. But a lot of times there is an ability to get that patient in as well if they come in as a walk-in. So
no insurance?
No, you don't need to have any insurance, no funds, whatever. You're able to.
Is it open
There's no, it's open to everybody, like no, regardless of that.
And what are the hours of operation?
So it's open every day, Monday to Friday, from 9 to 5, and on Wednesdays it's open till 7 as well, and on Saturdays it's open from 10 to 2. So it's open essentially 6 days a week.
Yes, I mean,
So-
I know we have heard a lot. I've visited the center, the medical center, but I think people out there need to make good use of it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because a lot of money and a lot of time and voluntary medical services are being provided there.
Absolutely, and we can send something to highlight the information for the clinic, the address, the phone number, the website, to give information and to put it out there for the community that may not be aware of it to know about it. Obviously, we've done a lot of marketing and
Yes.
a lot of word of mouth and a lot of promoting it throughout the South Florida community, but there may be, like you said, Sheikh, people that still haven't heard about it and or don't know about it and don't know that it's out there as a service that's offered in our community for everyone and anyone.
And they need to be motivated to use the services.
That's right. That's right. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, some people feel like they don't need to go to the doctor. They may not have insurance. They may not have any extra funds to go to a physician as a cash-paying patient even. And their medical conditions may be getting worse and may be getting more progressive to the point that because they haven't seen a physician and treated their hypertension or their diabetes, it leads to heart problems, to kidney problems, to neurological problems, so it can, to prevent that, and that's why it's a primary care clinic and preventative medicine. That's the best option, for patients to go to, so they don't get to that point of ending up on dialysis or suffering from a major heart attack or a major stroke or something else by getting the medical care early for their needs.
And very important for the people out there to know is that there are a lot of very professional medical doctors who are there. It's not just people who are now beginning in a career or experimenting. It's qualified, experienced doctors who are serving at this voluntary medical center.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's important for people to know, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a great service.
So we got to go on a short break.
Okay.
Time just goes.
Yeah.
We've been talking for 15 minutes. We got to go on a short break.
Absolutely.
When we come back, we'd like to talk a little bit about what motivates you to get involved in community services. And my reason for saying that is I'm sure you would agree with me that there are many doctors, many professionals, lawyers, doctors, but they're not involved in community services. I don't know if they don't care or they just don't have the time. But those who are involved, of course, they're busy. But what motivates you? And I think that will be very motivational to other professionals out there who are viewing this program as to how you can be a doctor and still be a community leader, someone, caring for the community and putting aside time for the community. So when we come back, we want to touch a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned. When we come back, we will continue this conversation with Dr. Azhar Dalal, who is a medical doctor at Broward Health Medical Center, Florida, USA. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Alhikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Who is Who on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is a pleasure to have with us in Alhikmat studio Dr. Azhar Dalal, who is a medical doctor at Broward Health Medical Center in Florida, USA. So welcome back to the show, Dr. Azhar.
Thank you.
So in the first segment, we spoke about your professional career, your background. Now we want to sort of get into some motivation as to how you can motivate people and viewers as being a doctor and yet making the time for community services, for Islam, for the community at large. So maybe I may want to ask you, what motivates you and what is that driving point that encourages you to get involved with the Islamic Center of Miami and whatever other Islamic activities?
So, Sheikh, I was to say that what really motivates me is, ever since I was a child growing up and my parents and inculcating that level of serving others and helping others and the Islamic kind of activities I was involved in from a young age, and a lot of volunteer activities, going to a lot of, programs to increase my Islamic knowledge, and as well as, serving in the community, feeding the homeless and helping in other capacities in regards and other types of activities, of serving others and helping others. So I would say that really was the foundation, right? As growing up as a young child.
So maybe I may have to cut you here. If you say as a young person, growing up, it means that would have something to do with your parents.
Yes, absolutely.
You see what I'm
Yes.
thinking here?
Yes.
Because you went right back to growing up as a young boy.
Yes.
And that motivation would have stemmed out of your parents' deeds and activities that you are an offspring of.
That's absolutely.
So your parents, tell us a little bit of your parents. Listen, well then if that's the case, then your parents are the root of this now.
Yeah, no.
So tell us what your father was, what he did, your mother. That will be very motivational to our parents out there, because if parents don't do things, they may not necessarily produce that kind of offspring. So our parents and viewers of this program will know, if you want your children to be doctors and lawyers and yet community leaders in the deen, serving the communities, then parents need to demonstrate and exemplify that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your parents.
Absolutely. No, my mother was a teacher.
Yeah.
She was a Montessori school teacher for 30 years.
Subhanallah.
And my father is a businessman, who owned different businesses and throughout, while over the last 30 years as well. But what I would say is that my parents always put this focus on Islam and service and education, of course, and making sure that I was always very balanced in these three aspects, in learning my deen, studying my deen from a young age, being serving others and helping others, and being very always concentrating and focusing on my education to help me along, to make sure that I could be the best at whatever I decided to pursue and whatever I decided to do in Islam and in whatever field I decided to pursue, as far as in this case, medicine and being a physician. But of course, service was a big component of that. So my parents, whatever time they had, free time, they had, obviously having other siblings, they had other responsibilities to their own families, and to their own, to their parents, and to to their community as well. But
Yeah.
of course, their focus was on the children and all of us, to make sure that they raised us the best they could and showed us the way, and showed us the right, led us with the right example and the way to be successful. So my mom always taking me whenever she could to Islamic activities, to Muslim Youth of North America, you know, a weekend camp or summer program, or whenever a scholar was in town, and taking me to that to learn from that scholar, or any programs with other youth that were, you know, of service to others, or to, you know, or learning about our deen, you know, and always on top of us for our education as well. So, and my father as well, you know, and for that to happen, they had to balance their time, and they had to maybe sacrifice, of course, some other things they may have wanted to do in order to give us that ability to be involved and to show us that this is what, you know, is very important for us growing up.
So
that's what I would say motivated me growing up. So
the mere fact that you saw your parents involved in
Yes.
community work and
Yes.
Islamic work, to be more
Absolutely.
Specific,
yes,
in the masjid, etc.
that's right.
They would always make that extra time. And that, Dr. Azhar, is very important. Nowadays,
Definitely.
that's the problem. A lot of
Definitely.
people want their kids to be something,
Yes,
but they do not exemplify that.
exactly.
They do not exemplify
Right,
that. And
right.
I don't see the logic in that. They got to understand that you don't have to be a doctor to produce a son as a doctor.
Right.
But, you know, you can be a good leader, a good community person, and your child would learn from that. Whatever profession they get into, they will look back at their parents.
That's right. Taking me to the masjid, and like I said, taking me to anywhere and everywhere that they could in order to keep me, and of course, being around good people, good friend circle, good influence. All of that is also important, as you're, you know, people that are also motivated at a young age in the same things you are, wanting to be motivated. And your parents have a big influence in that as well, by keeping you surrounded by, you know, people that are on the right track or want to be successful and in Islam, in education, in service to others. So all of that, I think, is very key and very important.
So they were truly true guardians in your life.
Absolutely.
That they, you know, they guided you on and kept you on that path, that today you are able to be a medical doctor with, I mean, the top, very most important medical center here in this county of Broward. And plus, you devote that time for the masjid and the community.
Absolutely.
What about as a youth growing up? What are some of the youth activities that you were involved in?
Yeah.
And my reason for asking you this is because, again, you know, we got viewers here from all over the world, Arabia, Pakistan, you know, the Philippines, Japan, China. It's interesting, America, the West. Sometimes people think to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be someone in the world outside there, you won't have any time for Islam, for the communities. And a lot of parents nowadays, they grow their children up in such a way that they become like just a total bookworm, from their bedroom to the motor car, to the college, to the university. They come out, they're in a profession, and they have no connection with society.
That's true.
And society has no connection with them.
That's right.
And that can be a very lonely life, Dr. Azhar. Don't you see people like that?
Oh, yes, all the time, all the time. And that's why I say you have to be involved in the community. You have to work on, obviously, your own self always, and your own heart, and reflect on that, and your own family unit, if you're married or you have children yourself. And you also have to obviously have your commitments to your profession, to your children, but you know, your deen and your community are very important aspects of being a balanced Muslim individual living in this, you know, in the United States here or anywhere in the world. And like you said, Sheikh, like a lot of people feel like if they do this work in the community or involved in something else, that may take away their time from pursuing whatever they feel is best for their children or for themselves, and takes away from that. And honestly, it's not really the truth. I mean, you could be involved, like, you know, we mentioned the UHI clinic. Also, like, I'm on the board of the Islamic Center of Greater Miami. I'm involved also with other organizations and other boards and other you know, community activities that I help organize, you know, to bring traditional Islamic knowledge to South Florida from other scholars that come and do programs to help the community benefit, right? And that's not just that aspect, but serving others in the community, helping others in need. You have to be being on the board of a masjid in order to serve the masjid constituents and congregants that come to the masjid, and obviously spending time with the children. I coach my children for their youth sports. I'm involved with a lot of their activities as well. So you have to balance. It's a balance. Life is a balance, you know, Sheikh. Like, if you don't balance everything out and you just concentrate on one aspect and forget about everything else, then you're right. It can lead to that, you know, situation where, you know, you kind of struggle then, you know, as you're growing up as a youth and as an adult. To your point and to your question about the youth activities.
And before you get into youth,
yeah.
and later on in life,
Yeah.
a person who lives that kind of isolated life,
Yes.
only around their career, their profession, their family at home, which is very important. Nobody says no.
Absolutely.
But then it can be a very lonely life later
That's
on.
right.
If you do not have that connection with community and with society, because your children will get married, they will go to different parts of the world. You will be alone with your spouse, so maybe you never
That's
can
right.
tell. And if you never had that community connection, that's double loneliness.
Absolutely.
Double loneliness.
I agree 100%. And that connection is very important to our community and society because of the things you just mentioned, Sheikh. So, but going back to the youth, like the Muslim youth of North America, we had our chapter here in Miami and in Broward, and it helped us really stay connected. We had these summer Olympics we would go to every summer, you know, between all the youth, and play sports and also have some Islamic knowledge and some other activities that really helped us grow. We had these youth camps, you know, whether weekend camps or week-long camps in different parts of Florida and different parts of the United States on the East Coast, where you'd interact with Muslim youth from all over and have, you know, different, like I said, activities in these camps, learning Islam, serving others, building your, you know, relationships and connections with other Muslim youth that are similar. And all of these activities really helped us as we got into our teenage years and into our high school years, you know, before we went off to college, because of that strengthening of our Islam with the youth that were around us, and the social activities with the youth, and and being of service to others with the youth. So all of those really helped, I think, you know.
Yes, and it does teach you not to be selfish.
That's right.
It really, you will not realize that,
Yeah.
but the mere fact that you're with youths and in community activities and in retreat and youth camps,
Right.
you learn to
Sports.
love and share with one another. So when you become a doctor and a lawyer and a professional out there, you really learn not to be selfish. You
That's
learn
right.
how to care, how to love people, how to be loved. So it does help a great deal. And that is something
Yeah.
that when you look around, especially in America nowadays,
Yeah.
you see a lot of people missing that.
That's
they,
right.
They think that they can find that in books or they can find that on a computer. But that human touch and that human love and connection, it can only come when it happens in with practicality, if I
That's
want to
right.
put it like that.
Absolutely. You know, in this COVID pandemic, unfortunately, this past year, or about 14 months now, has really had taken a toll and had a big effect on that human connection and being able to have community events and to have Islamic events, whether of you know, of knowledge or scholars or teaching or activities of service to others, or, you know, gatherings of benefit, you know, and and having that human connection and that human touch. Unfortunately, we've been having Zoom and online and a lot of virtual events, right? And inshallah, now it looks like as people are getting vaccinated, as COVID is coming to decreasing, as Ramadan now starting up again and having Tarawih again in the masjids and people getting together, at least in small gatherings, to break their fast together, and then that continuing after Ramadan and Eid, and inshallah through the summer, where people will be able to start getting together again and having that connection with each other, because it's very important, Sheikh. I agree.
Very
important.
And I'm sure that the COVID experience
Yes.
of the loneliness and the
Yes.
isolation
Yes.
would have really taught people how important community connection is.
Absolutely.
You would have felt the thirst and the missing of this sort of community, friendliness, human touch relationship. It's important. So when we come back, we again have been talking for more than 15 minutes. When we come back after the short break, we want to kind of wrap up a little bit generally, and what's your recommendation, what's your advice to doctors out there, to youths out there, to even parents out there, how they can produce a child who is a professional, who can make it there in this life and in this world, and in this western part of the world, be successful, progressive, but yet be Islamic, be a community-based person. When we come back, we'd like you to share a little bit about that advice on how parents and people can get more into that, as Allah has blessed you with, inshallah. So stay tuned. We're talking to Dr. Azhar Dalal, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Alhikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa in lam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300.
Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Who is Who on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is a pleasure to have with us in Alhikmat studio Dr. Azhar Dalal, who is a medical doctor at the Broward Health Medical Center, Florida, USA. It's the largest trauma medical center in the county of Broward. So it is a pleasure to have Dr. Azhar with us. Stay tuned as we continue this conversation. Good, Dr. Azhar Sahib. So before we get into a little bit of your advice and to parents and professionals out there in that connection between community, parenting, profession, etc., what would you like to tell our audience and share with them about the need for the vaccination?
Okay, so so Sheikh, I would say that everyone, I feel, should get vaccinated. I know there's some doubt out there about some of the vaccines, and a lot of information that is interpreted different ways because of what everyone hears on the media or whatever they see out there. But in my medical professional opinion, I feel that I encourage everyone to get vaccinated. At the end of the day, it's not 100% effective towards preventing infection, but the studies have showed it's like at least about 85% effective towards preventing infection, but between 95% to 98% effective in preventing severe disease or hospitalization that would result in death. So because of that aspect of the importance of wanting to prevent anybody that contracts COVID from having severe disease that could result in a serious hospitalization or death, it's, in my opinion, encouraged to get the vaccine. And I feel that everybody should get the vaccine. Now, having said that, even if you do get the vaccine, since COVID's still going on, not everyone has gotten it. There's question about these variants that we've seen in different countries now, including the US and in Europe and in South America and even in Asia. We still have to wear masks when we're around others. We still have to practice social distancing. We still have to be cautious because you can still contract it, like I said. Yes, the chances of it being severe are almost zero or resulting in a serious hospitalization or death, but you can still transmit it to someone else. You can still get COVID even after the vaccine. Like I
that
said,
was a question I wanted to ask you. What is the possibility of getting the vaccine getting the COVID after the vaccine? And what are some of the do's and don'ts after being vaccinated?
Right. Okay. So to that answer, yes, you can get COVID after the vaccine. But the good news is that it's, like I said, maybe about 15% of the population that received the vaccine could get COVID based on the studies, but it would be the mild form, mild to moderate form, where you may get COVID, you may get sick for a few days, but most likely you'll recover from it and not get into the severe stage or the hospitalized stage or the ICU stage of where COVID afflicts, people that are with a more serious type of, fate or condition. So the do's and don'ts, like we talked about, Sheikh, is that even after having the vaccine, now if you're in a room, the CDC recently came out with a recommendation that if everyone's been vaccinated in that room, that you don't have to wear the mask or you don't have to really practice social distancing because everyone's been vaccinated. And yes, we talked about that it could still be transmitted, but it's a very mild form of transmission or asymptomatic transmission or even, of COVID. If everyone's vaccinated, but the chances of that happening, unless it's everyone in that gathering, or everyone has told you they're vaccinated, everybody else in any other gathering should still wear their mask if they're around anybody. They should still practice social distancing because, like I said, you can still get it. Obviously, like I said, mild to moderate, most likely. Very, very, very rare would it be a severe case. But we still have to be cautious until this kind of goes away completely. And that may be several months out still because of the variants, because not everyone is vaccinated yet, because the herd immunity for people who have gotten COVID and how long the antibodies last, we still don't have that information. People who got COVID are testing their antibodies 1 year later from the time they got COVID, and they see they still have the antibodies. But we don't know if that's going to be for years or it's only going to last 15 months. Some people, it's lasted like 6 months, the antibodies, and then they don't have the antibodies anymore. And most likely everyone will have to get a booster shot afterwards. But just like the flu and just like any other illness, this is how the virus works.
I'm just thinking what we're going to get into. Everyone will have to walk with an ID card with their photo and certify that I was vaccinated, I
Yes.
got a vaccine, I was vaccinated.
That's right.
And then maybe it may have a little clip off to show that I got the second boost.
That's
and
right.
I've been, you know,
Absolutely.
this is going to be interesting. And
Yeah.
every gathering you go to, every wedding you go to now, you enter the hotel and there's a big party of 300-400 people, and there is someone at the reception desk as they sign your name off. They must also check your ID and say, okay. I mean, I'm just thinking.
That can happen. That can happen. And for travel, when you want to get on a plane down the line, you know, I know in Florida, you know, the politicians have some different views on the vaccination card. But I will say that for the cruises, the traveling on planes, for a lot of the things like you're mentioning, Sheikh, big gatherings that happen down the line in banquet halls or hotels or wherever there's a lot of people in a certain area, that may be the case, that they require everyone to have the vaccine. Once it's, like I said, now it's mostly available for everybody. It's still not 100% available for everybody. But once it is, which is coming in about 2 or 3 months down the line by the summer, everyone will have the ability, in my opinion, to haven't gotten the vaccine. The question is, there's still people out there that don't want to get it. So, you know, that may end up being a requirement, like you said, for certain.
And I think it might be interesting. You know, you go to this big banquet dinner, and everybody show their card or their invitation or whatever, but you got to have this checked off.
Right.
Vaccinated, And those who didn't, by accident, they forgot their card or they did not get it. Well, right at that banquet hall, you have another little corner, semi-separated.
Right.
That they will be masked off. And
That's true.
I mean,
That's true.
that might help. What it will do, it will help as a precaution.
Yes.
Plus, it may encourage people to be more alert, to keep their card with them,
Right.
or to get vaccinated. And a lot of these little things, because how do you know who is vaccinated, who is not
Absolutely.
vaccinated? You know, we don't know. We got to start. It just cannot only be in the aircraft.
Right.
And it cannot only be in certain, you know, restricted areas that are very restricted, flying here, there, security areas.
Right.
But the general public, because these are the people who will be going into the aircraft.
That's right.
These are the people who will be going to the weddings and the,
Yes.
you know, the banquet dinners and the gatherings. And it doesn't matter. It can be a gathering of 10 or a gathering of 10,000.
Right.
It's more or less the same effect, right?
Absolutely.
Y-
Absolutely.
You will have to have some kind of identification because it takes just that one person that
That's
can
right.
spread it.
That's right. Absolutely.
So no, that's very, very important that you share that. So, you
Yes,
know,
yes,
time
yes.
is always on the go. What else would
Yeah.
you like to share? We got just about 3 minutes or so to conclude the program. What else would you like to share about from the medical point, from the vaccine point,
Yeah,
from
no,
the
I
advice
just-
point?
I just say, you know, people should be vigilant still and be cautious still and don't think it's over because it's not over just yet. And I think, Sheikh, you were mentioning about as far as advice to give others.
What would you really advise
To-
parents if they want to have a son like you in the community, involved in the masjid, yet a medical doctor, a very professional, progressive person? What do you advise parents to do? What do you advise youths to do?
Right. So I would say, Sheikh, you know, just to conclude, you know, show them the example. That you have to show them the example as the parents, right? Because like you said earlier, if they don't see that from you, it's going to be hard for them to follow. So you got to be that example first and foremost. You know, whether it's the mother and the father, or just the mother in certain cases, or just the father in certain cases, you know, that parent, that figure has to be present and has to be the role model and the example. Surrounding them with good friends and a good influence around them. You know, other friends, other youth that are also motivated in education, in Islam, in education, in service, have good values and good morals and good ethics. You know, because you want your child, your youth, you know, to be around those types of youth and those types of kids and those types of friend circle. And then being balanced, you know, Sheikh, like I said, being balanced. Yes, you know, some parents, like we talked about, they're just about like, okay, education, yes, it's very important. And just their studies and just, okay, achieving the highest GPA and getting to the best, you know, college and everything else and to become whatever profession they want them to become. But you need to make sure they have their Islamic knowledge, and they know their Islamic knowledge, and they study Islam throughout their youth. It's very important. Reading the Quran, memorizing the Quran, learning how to pray properly, doing their 5 prayers on time, learning their fiqh, learning, other Islamic studies, whether hadith and tafsir and tazkiyah and purification of the heart. All of these things are going to guide them throughout their youth and as an adult. And being of service to others, having them volunteer to help others, to serve others, that will be really important for them to be motivated to see what that really is, being in service to others. And having friends and people of different backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, to expose them to all kinds of different people from everywhere, is very important for them to really understand, and not just having them around one group of people or one socioeconomic status or one type of ethnicity or one type of religion. No, exposing them and having them with good people from everywhere, because there's good in all people.
Of course.
So
diversity, multicultural, multi-faith.
Right, interfaith. Very
so
important.
They get very balanced.
Very important. Absolutely.
One thing we didn't talk about, Dr. Azhar, is like how many children you got?
So I have 3 children.
And why I'm saying that, because, yet as a medical professional, as a community leader involved, you still have time to have children.
Absolutely,
a lot of people
absolutely.
think it's too much time to bring children, to have children, to care for children. And that is so important. But you and your wife,
Yes,
and you
yes.
got 3 children.
Yes.
And you can still make the time and to have children,
Yes.
take them out for games and play and
Yes.
community, but yet be involved in your
Absolutely.
profession and in the community.
Absolutely. Like I said, Sheikh, it's a balance, right? You have your relationship with you and your wife, and making sure that relationship's always strong, and you give time and attention to that, to make sure that's always, that bond and that connection is always strong. And your children, I have 3 children. They're 13, 11, and 9.
Wow, subhanallah.
2 boys and a girl, Amin, Noor, and Hamza. And mashallah, great kids. But you have to give the time. You have to give the dedication to your children, be involved in their lives, taking them, showing them, being the example for them, teaching them. And that's very important, because they need us as parents. And I enjoy spending time with my kids. I enjoy teaching them. I enjoy, coaching them. I enjoy, doing activities of service in the community, and helping others with them, and showing them what that means to serve others. So, that's very important, and that will lead, inshallah, to them being, successful later on in life, and in Islam, and in whatever field they decide to pursue, and that's what I would say about that. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that.
yeah,
We
you got to make
appreciate-
time. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I don't have the time. You have to make time, and you have to be balanced in everything you do. So
Yeah.
giving time to your family, to your community, of course, primarily, first and foremost, to your deen and to Islam. And you have your parents, if they're still around, to take care of them, and you have your obligation and duty to your parents. So again, everything combined, you have to do and give time to others, and that's the way to live a balanced and fruitful life, of purpose.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Jazakallah. I mean, you got a couple of seconds to conclude whatever you want to say
that's
as
it.
you're being on the show.
I think I want to say thank you, Sheikh, and thank you, Alhikmat TV and Alhikmat for giving me this opportunity to just share some tidbits and whatever I can to benefit whoever's able to view this anywhere. And I appreciate the Alhikmat crew and Shaikh Shafayat for everything, inshallah, and giving me this opportunity today. So thank you very much.
Jazakallah again. It has really been a pleasure to have you with us in Alhikmat Studio and on Alhikmat TV. So once more to our viewers out there, especially those of you who have just tuned in, we have been talking to Dr. Azhar Dalal, and he is a medical doctor at Broward Health Medical Center here in Florida, USA. A very experienced person, well-mannered, well-disciplined, and well-organized, living a balanced life with his family, his wife and children, in the Islamic community, involved in society, of course, his medical profession. So those of you who have just tuned in, always stay tuned to Alhikmat TV. Check out this show back on YouTube, on Facebook, social media, etc. And we wish you all the best. Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.